All right, you guys, we are in chapter 5. That is going to be all about our lash adhesives. Very, very important. So let's jump in. Lesson 5.1 talks about choosing the right adhesive. I kind of mentioned briefly adhesives earlier when we were talking about supplies, but we'll really get into the nitty-gritty here. So to begin with, picking the right adhesive for you really matters. I mean, all of our supplies are so important, but if my adhesive is not working or is not what I need it to be, it throws off my entire set. So there's so many things that play into effect of what adhesive works best for you, but really your experience, if you're a beginner or if you've lashed for a while, your environment, do you work in a very hot or humid space or really cool and dry space, your preference just with making fans and lashing itself, are you someone that does like to take their time and have more time in between dipping and getting it on, or are you a speedy lash artist and you just want that quick application? A lot of things play into effect, so let's go over it. We really think that you guys should try different adhesives and find your one, because what's popular in the industry may not be what works for you. I already kind of gave the recommendations before, but I would say for beginner, go with something a little bit slower, 3 to 4 seconds, 4 to 5 seconds. That's gonna be things like our Chill Babe, our Cool Babe. If you want something faster, Hot Babe is the industry favorite. She is the best seller. We love her. I'm a Hot Babe user. And there's things like clear adhesives versus black adhesives, which we'll talk about. Adhesives in your lash room, obviously this is a big part of it. All of our adhesives, the range that they work in is really wide. They do all have an optimal range of where they work. We are test trialing out with our manufacturers the adhesives that have no need for temperature, humidity, and we will be dropping it. I'm sure as you see this, it's probably already dropped. We do want feedback on it because we've kind of heard both things with the industry and community, and we do really trust our girls. And some have said it worked for them, some say that they just think there's no difference in between. If it's too humid in your space, the glue will dry quicker. If it is too cold in your space or dry in your space, it takes longer for the adhesive to dry. So that could play into effect too. And that affects retention. So you really do want to understand your environment, which is why we do recommend you have some tools. For sure, you should have some sort of thermostat that allows you to know what the temperature in your room is. And then another one that's really great is a hygrometer. That's gonna allow you to understand what your humidity is like in your space. So those are the two things we recommend you definitely have just to understand. Yeah, a couple of tips and tricks with our adhesives, especially if you're a beginner, is pick a slower drying time, of course. Make sure that the adhesive is for professional use only. Check the humidity and temperature range, and then always shake and take care of your adhesive. Definitely make sure you're following all those, because adhesives, it's one of the most expensive items we have to get repeatedly as a lash artist. So you want to make sure it's lasting and protect its longevity. We talked about clear glue and black glue a little bit before, but again, black glue just has that carbon black ingredient in it. Clear glue doesn't. So for many reasons, people like clear glue because it has one less ingredient, which could be better for sensitive clients. People also love clear glues for color sets, for brown sets, because if you dip the brown colors, or if you dip the brown lashes or the color lashes in the black, you're gonna see it on the base, and that creates kind of an ombre effect because the lash line is dark. So the clear glue obviously allows for you to not have that happen. Some people just like clear glue and its performance overall, so give it a try. Honestly, I do think that every lash station should have a clear glue and a black glue. So for me, I always have a clear glue and a black glue on my station. Also, another tip and trick, and I don't know if this does anything. Maybe it's just all in my mind, but I actually do a mix. I don't know, but I basically do 1 drop of black and 1 drop of clear, and I swear by it performing better. I don't know, it's a little bit of best of both worlds, but try it out, let me know. I don't know if there's science behind that. We should look into that. Fume levels are part of lash adhesives, and so for the sensitive glues, there's less fumes to them, which may make it easier or better for the clients to be able to handle. We will also say if you are having a fume issue with your clients, then use an anti-allergy gel. It works magic. It is one of our rising star products because our anti-allergy, not only can you just leave it next to your lash station, you can actually put it directly on their lid, so it's right next to their eyes, absorbing the fumes, or on the gel pads as well, close to your area, absorbing the fumes. I like gel pad better just because I feel like I could accidentally touch if it was on their lid, but some people like it directly on the lid and it's really soothing for the client too. So definitely give that a try if you're having any issues with fumes. Lesson 5.2 is your lash adhesive type. So kind of plugging our adhesives, we have two series, your Babe Adhesive series, which is your very luxe bestseller, industry favorite series, and then we dropped the Supergirl series, which is your affordable, still strong performing adhesives. It's just the more affordable version. So in our Babe Adhesive series, like we mentioned, Hot Babe is the bestseller. She's just kind of the perfect general adhesive for everyone. Icy Babe is our clear glue in that Babe series. We have Breezy Babe, which is your 0.3, so your fast, speedy artist. Soft Babe is actually our newer, not new, but newer sensitive adhesive in our Babe series. And oh my goodness, she's so popular now. We have a normal sensitive adhesive too that's sold on its own and people really love that one. That's a bestseller. But Soft Babe is going to become one of the top selling adhesives, I think. So Soft Babe is our sensitive adhesive in the Babe series. Cool Babe, again, a great beginner one. Sweet Babe, she is a pink adhesive. So technically clear, it dries clear. Any colored adhesives will dry clear. But yeah, for the girls that like clear but want a little pink to it, Sweet Babe is your girl. Wild Babe is our strawberry scented, 0.5 to 1 second. So it's technically Hot Babe with the scent. And all of our scents for all of our products, you guys, are very minimal and it's just not overwhelming. So try it out, it's really fun. Chill Babe, again, a beginner-friendly one. Silly Babe is our banana scented. Tardy Babe is our pineapple scented. Bright Babe is our blueberry scented. And that wraps up our Babe Adhesive series. Our Supergirl series. Flash Girl is Flash, so she's super fast. That's the fastest one. Batgirl is probably the most, Flash and Bat are the most popular for sure. Flash Girl is gonna be your Hot Babe dupe. Batgirl is gonna be kind of your Cool Babe, Chill Babe's dupe. Flower Girl, she's black, the adhesives, but she is floral scented, so really cute. Bottle for that is adorable, by the way. Invisible Girl is our clear adhesive in our Supergirl series. And then Aqua Girl is our blue adhesive in our Supergirl series. So she dries clear. And actually Aqua Girl has been picking up traction with sales for sure, especially in storefronts. So I love that. You go, Aqua Girl. Lesson 5.3, we're talking about temperature and humidity. We kind of mentioned it already, but just a reminder that your environment plays a huge, huge role on adhesive performance. So definitely something to be aware of and something to base your adhesive choice off of. Temperature is a big one. It impacts the viscosity, the speed, and performance of your adhesive, right? In warmer temperatures, the glue is gonna cure really fast because it's warm. In cooler temperatures, the glue cures a little bit slower. So that's kind of the science behind it. You wanna keep your temperature in your space very stable, so we do recommend you have, a heating and a cooling unit. Ideal lash room conditions, so 20 to 25 degrees Celsius is going to be the ideal, and then 68 to 75, 77 is the ideal Fahrenheit temperature. In the US, we're in Fahrenheit. And then humidity, I would say 45 to 70, but it says 50 to 70 is going to be the ideal humidity range. Also, just a reminder that seasons change, humidity changes throughout the year, so you could even switch adhesives depending on what you need throughout the year. That can help us, that can help us greatly. And make sure that you also have ventilation. So we recommended an air purifier before. Some sort of ventilation is really good as well, and it can help your adhesive work at its optimal performance. Also, just some side bits about adhesives to look out for. Viscosity, that is the word that we use when we talk about how thick an adhesive is. Our viscosity, I would say it's more on the, I would say Supergirl's is more on the thinner side, and then Babe Adhesive is a little bit more on the thicker side. So if you put a drop of the Babe Adhesive series, it will kind of just sit there. And if you put a drop of the Supergirls, it'll sit there, but it'll flatten out a little bit. So viscosity is also preference to artists too. That is the main difference between our Babe Adhesive series and our Supergirls Adhesive series. When we refer to the time or how fast or slow the adhesive dries, we use the word curing. So that is the curing time of adhesives, if you hear us talking about that. And then how to fix adhesive issues. So if your space is too dry, then you may want to add a humidifier that will add water particles into the air. If your space is too wet, too humid, then you might use a dehumidifier to pull out some of that moisture. If your space is too cold and you don't have an HVAC, use a little space heater. That can really help. We've done that before. And then if your space is too hot, use a fan if you don't have an HVAC, or a little AC unit as well. But yes, your adhesive and the environment go 2 and 2, and genuinely when your adhesive doesn't work, it literally drives me nuts. So this is super important, and if you are getting frustrated with your adhesive, make sure you're checking the environment around you. So using your adhesive, lesson 5.4. Speed matching really matters, because if you're a beginner and your adhesive is drying too fast, obviously that's going to cause really poor retention because it's not really adhering onto the natural lash once it gets there. And then if you're too fast and you're using it really slow, then a really slow adhesive, then you might get more stickies because you're pulling out really fast and onto the next, but it's not fully dry. So that's what happens when they start sticking together. So you really want to make sure that you are using the speed that works with you in order to reduce errors, maximize retention, minimize pauses or checking breaks, and just work with confidence over. We kind of recommended it already before, but if you are a beginner, go ahead and try a 2+ second glue. If you're an intermediate, a 1 to 2 second glue. If you're at an advanced, a 0.5 to a 1. And then if you are at an expert level, then less than 0.5 second clearing glue would be great. We talked about environment, so I don't need to go into that too much, but as always, high humidity, faster curing, low humidity, slower curing. It's also important that you change out your adhesives throughout the service. So we would say maybe anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, go ahead and change it out. Some artists do say faster, every 15 minutes. Again, feel out your glue, feel out your paste, see what works for you. Couple of tips and tricks too. You will know your adhesive is not good anymore, or if it's just not at its optimal performance, if it comes out really stringy when you're squeezing it out. If it's really thick, like it's clumped up almost, it's probably not good. If it's bubbly or gray looking, if you shook it up real good and it's still coming out that gray color, that could be, a time for you to toss the adhesive. And then obviously if it's less effective. So, if you're pushing 8 weeks with an adhesive, or like 6 to 8 weeks in adhesive, and your retention is not going as well, that could be a reason why. Also, just a reminder that because there are fumes in the adhesives, we really recommend wearing a face mask. I love having my face mask because the fumes actually make me react while I'm lashing. So sometimes even with the face mask, my eyes will just start tearing and I'll be crying because it burns my eyes, but breathing in the fumes isn't too healthy too. So using a face mask could really help with the fumes. If you want to, you can even use an N95 mask. As we mentioned previously, definitely have ventilation in your space, that can help too. And then make sure that if you do have an air purifier, you can get an HEPA and HEPA filter that helps with the fumes and the dirt in the air. And then avoid sitting super directly and close to your glue ring all the time. So again, posture is important, and it will also help with that too. Reminder always that your health comes first and foremost. So this is something that maybe as artists we overlook, but very important in regards to your health. I kind of went over it already, but lesson 5.5 is going to be taking care of your adhesive. So some things to note when you're thinking about your adhesive: make sure that it is stored in either an airtight container, or you want to just a stable temperature and humidity workspace, something stable for your adhesive. Before, we would say put your adhesives, your unopened adhesives, into the fridge. Now we kind of took that out because all our adhesives are plugged basically before you open them, and then that's why they come with a pin so that you can unplug them and use it or unclog them, I suppose, and then use it. You want to avoid direct sunlight. You want to avoid extreme heat, and keep it within the range that it requires to be optimal in. To extend the life of adhesives, use a lint-free wipe to wipe down the nozzle, because again, if you use anything else, it'll get stuck on there and then it gets really nasty. Burp your glue, that's something people like to do too, which is getting the air bubbles out first, especially that first drop, and then getting the drop immediately after you kind of get out all the air bubbles. Shake well, that's probably the most important tip and trick. Shake it well before you use it. There's Glue shakers, we have one. There's little glue like volcano things where you press it on there and it vibrates. That's a really great one too. And never leave the cap off for more than a couple seconds. So open it, put a drop, close it real quick because that can play effect into it. Important is to make sure you watch the shelf life. So for us, if it's unopened, it can last anywhere from 6 to 12 months. If it's open, typically the best range is 4 to 6 weeks. We know people have made them last up to 8, but anything after 6 weeks, the performance might not be as effective. So we would say stick within the 4 to 6 week range and then switch out your glue. If your nozzle top gets really gross and there's just adhesive stuck around it, we love replacement nozzle tops, which we do sell those as well. And that saves our adhesive so many times because sometimes it's just completely clogged, but you can hear there's some adhesive, a good amount left. Change out the nozzle itself and you will prolong the longevity of that adhesive. So that's a great tip and trick too. And we have a video on this lesson online if you want to see how to do so. That's kind of all, but all the care around your adhesive, it is very, very important because the adhesive is a big factor in whether or not you have good retention and also your performance while you're lashing too. So make sure you kind of keep an eye out for all these things and try to keep the best care of your adhesives as you can. Lesson 5.6 is going to be adhesive tools you need. I kind of mentioned these already, but we'll brief through them. Adhesive nozzle pins or needles are great because sometimes it just gets clogged up there. So that's why I love to keep the pin that comes with the actual product when you get it fresh and you pop it open. I use that. I use it multiple times again during the lifespan of the adhesive. So those are great. We also have really cute heart-shaped ones if you guys like. Glue shaker is great. Glue shaker is a must because you shaking it is probably not going to be as effective as a glue shaker itself. So that's another product. Is it an essential product you have to get? Not necessarily, but a very nice to have product. Jade stone, glue rings, glue tiles, glue trays. Those are obviously all different types of methods to put your glue. Again, it really depends on what your technique is and where you prefer it. If you don't like your adhesive super close to your face, then maybe you don't want to use a glue ring. Maybe you want to use a glue tile or something so that it's further away. But again, it's all preference. Those are all just tools you can use to decide where you want to place your adhesive. Adhesive nozzle tops, that's one of our favorites. Again, that's just to replace the nozzle, obviously. Adhesive nozzle opener, that pairs 2 and 2 with the nozzle top because it is really hard to take off the nozzle top itself. You could use like a little wrench or something, or you could take it off with your hands, but the adhesive nozzle opener just fits perfectly in and then you just crack it open like that. So that's definitely one of the products where it's not essential, but it's a really nice to have and makes your life easier when you come to this issue. And lint-free wipes, like we said, don't wipe your adhesive top with anything else, especially anything that has cotton in it, cotton fibers. Use a lint-free. We love that it doubles up as little tissues to wipe your client's lashes too, because again, you don't want any fresh adhesive near anything with cotton. And that's kind of all the tools that you can use with your lash adhesive. So again, are they all essential? No, not necessarily, but they do make your life a little bit easier. So definitely if you struggle keeping your adhesives like we do in perfect mint condition, these are definitely things to look into because they really do help. Lesson 5.7 is our allergic reaction versus irritation. So a reaction can happen whether it's the first time or whether they've gotten their lashes for a while. Sometimes reactions happen. So these are things you need to look out for. The difference between the two is an irritation is very mild. It's temporary. It often happens during or right after the appointment. Things that you'll see is it's red, their eyes are red, there's some stinging, slight discomfort, nothing too crazy though, and it'll clear up within 24 to 48 hours. The reason for that could be the placement of the gel pads, the fumes, their dry eyes. Those are some things that could be the reason why. Now, allergic reaction, that is moderate to severe cases. The onset is almost immediate. So within 48 hours, they'll have swelling, redness, watery eyes, runny nose. You will know when it's an allergic reaction. The duration, it could worsen as well if left untreated. And the cause is an immune response to the glue or to any lash materials. And at that point, we would really recommend that they see their medical provider. We also recommend they get a removal. And unfortunately, if they are truly allergic to lash supplies, then we would just recommend they don't get lashes. I know, we're so sorry. You could try sensitive adhesives, sensitive tapes, whatnot, but if they're truly allergic, it's an immune response, so no matter what, they'll probably have it happen again. If it's an irritation, then we have clients that get irritated, but they love it so much and they'll come back, and that's up to their discretion and your comfort as well. But for allergic reaction, unfortunately, we would say they're probably not good candidates for lash extensions. We have some pictures too. Again, allergic reaction, it's pretty scary, and you'll be able to tell, especially because of the swelling and the redness around their eyes. Those are the main indicators. But if you want to be able to prevent it or just have a patch test, we do recommend that. Not all artists have that. That's totally okay. If you want to implement it or want to implement it for new clients that know that they've had reactions before, essentially they come in and you kind of set it up totally normal. We would recommend you take a deposit for sure. And if they don't have a reaction, you can go ahead and put that deposit towards the entire payment. But essentially what you do is you set up all normal and you choose lashes that are about the same size as their natural lashes, and then you just put 2 to 3 fans on both ends of their eyes, something super minimal where people can't really tell. Send them on their way home, and if they have nothing happen in 48 hours, then they're probably good to go. The girls that really are allergic to lash adhesive or lash supplies, they will have a reaction just from that much within the first 48 hours. So that is a great way to offer or to test out things for your clients if they need. We definitely would recommend that you don't have your clients do removals at home. We know that some suggestions of, selling the removers, they could, it is a little scary, so we don't really recommend it. And then also the oils, which people recommend too, it doesn't do a full job of taking everything off. So we never recommend that clients do removals at home by themselves. But also a reminder that we are not medical professionals, so do not diagnose anything. We can give our suggestions and recommendations, but definitely send them to a medical professional if anything were to happen. Is it normal to see irritation with lash extensions? Yes and no. For some clients, that is just their normal, and that will happen no matter what products, what brand, what adhesives, whatever you use, and that is just part of the process. But some clients have no irritation whatsoever and can go on about their day. So let your clients know that this could be a thing. It should be in your contract or your consent form to begin with, but education on clients, you guys, which we keep emphasizing, is very important so that they know they got to follow the aftercare, they got to come in prepped and all of that, and they need to make sure they don't move too much or open their eyes during the appointments, because that can increase chances of irritation. Also, your gel pad placement is very important. If your tape and your gel pad is kind of digging into their eyes once they close it, that can rub against their cornea and rupture it or cause tears, and that could be a reason why they're getting it too. So always make sure that you lift it up and bring it down is what we do here at Elan. Also just asking the client, does that feel comfortable? That would be your best metric to follow. And then just make sure that, again, it's not shoving into their eye once they close it, because it looks completely different once you put it on and their eyes are open and once you close it. So you just want to make sure you test that when it's all set up. Anti-allergy, as we mentioned before, is a game changer. It absorbs the fumes. So if irritation is caused by adhesive fumes, this is going to be your girl. Tip and trick we love and we learn from our community is that they wear 2 glue rings. Let's say if they are a glue ring artist, and they have one where it has that anti-allergy and the other has the adhesive, so it's right there absorbing the fumes. But a lot of our girls have said it's been a game changer for their clients, so we definitely recommend you just have that on hand and test it out if you haven't. Another way you can kind of negate having irritation is you can go ahead and give a lash bath at the end of the service. That will just clear out everything. And now with advancements of the adhesive, like we mentioned previously in this course, you are able to actually do that right away. So that could be another step that you take in ensuring that the retention is good. You could check that there, and also that there's no burning or no irritation whatsoever. That is kind of everything to have to do with your adhesives. I know we're going so in depth with all these supplies, but you want your supplies to be working at peak performance because you want your job to be as easy as possible, and that is why we have variations here at Elan, and we have so many options because we just want what is best for your service. Last but not least, lesson 5.8, the do's and don'ts of lash glue. Go ahead and head over and watch that video. And then last but not least, you guys, you know what time it is. It is your chapter 5 quiz. So pause, go take that. A reminder, in every single chapter that if you want a certification, you're gonna have to pass with a 100% pass rate on all these quizzes. You can take it multiple times, and it's just a refresher and a test if you were able to process and understand all the information. If you weren't, don't worry about it. We know it's a lot that we're throwing at you. We know lashing is a lot. So review your lessons, go back, rewatch the videos, try again, give it a rest, come back later. That's kind of what we want this course to be, is at your own pace. So that is all in chapter 5. That is all about lash adhesives, and we will really get into the nitty-gritty parts of lashing itself starting in chapter 6. So I'll see you then.